Hi guys! This week we're keeping up the mending trend and we're going to do a lot of fixes on a pair of jeans. We are going to fix a simple slice or pop anywhere on your pants. We are going to strengthen the inner thigh area if it's become worn out or has a hole. And we are going to do some visible mending with some fun scrap fabric. So the materials you're going to need today are a pair of jeans that need mending, scrap material of some kind. You're going to need a needle, thread, and scissors. Something that might be helpful to you if you have it in your home would be straight pins. And aside from that, you're just going to use your skills and your pants. So, here is my hole. Just a simple straight cut. Happens every once in a while. One time I tripped and it just kind of exploded by itself. So, you know, it's a common problem when your jeans just kind of split a little bit. So, if you want this to be as invisible as possible, go ahead and trim off any little strings that are poking out. It's easier to do this before you sew it. Whoop. You just don't want to shred it any further though, so anything that you can kind of tuck is better than just cutting and cutting and cutting, because the way jeans are woven, they'll just keep coming undone. Next, you're going to want to pick out a comfortable needle to use. I'd say slimmer is a little easier with jeans because they're a little tougher fabric, so anytime you can have a little smaller needle, it's going to go through easier. But again, use something that you're comfortable with. Thread. If you want it to be as invisible as possible, use something that's close in color to the pants. I'm going to be using a contrasting color so you'll be able to see my stitches. And scrap fabric. I often have just a pair of ruined jeans in my house. I'm a bit of a hoarder. I save these things for the fabric. So if you do have another pair of jeans in your house, this would be a really great use for them. You could make your patch out of the jean material. But if you don't, this scrap of any kind works well. I'm going to use just a plain white. It came off of a bedspread, so it's going to be put to use in a new way. Basically, you're just going to want to cut a piece of fabric that's a bit bigger than the hole in your jeans. You don't have to do any super accurate measuring or anything. Overestimate it this time because we will be trimming away. Go ahead, put that behind here. If your cut is much higher in the jeans, I would suggest rolling the jeans so that you don't have to go through like a really long corridor to get to the place you're patching. And since mine is down here at the bottom, I won't worry about that. Put that in place. Whoops, dropped my needle. Here we go. Got some thread. There we go. Give yourself a good bit of thread. I like to work with it doubled, but it does tangle easier that way, so if you're not confident with it doubled, don't do that. And I wouldn't get a piece that is any longer than your arm because you can get tangled up, and it's easy enough to just get more thread. Going to wrap the thread around my finger, roll it so that I have a little knot at the end. Then I'm going to go to the inside of my pants carefully. Go through the innermost layer. If you're using a contrasting thread like me, I would, I don't really want my knot to show, and catch that loop. That's going to give you a nice strong knot. I'll do it again just because I really like to have a strong foundation. I don't want my stitches to come undone. Okay, so that's all taken care of. I'll come up to the other side, and then I'll carefully hold my patch in place. I hold my patch and the topmost layer away from the other side, because I've seen people accidentally sew their pants together. You do not want to sew your pant leg closed if at all possible. Try and keep this as flat as possible. If you do have pins at home, feel free to pin that. I'm just assuming that a lot of people don't. So what you're going to do, you're going to carefully catch that underneath fabric after you've gone through the first layer of jean. Then you're going to come out on the other side. Then move just a little bit. The closer your stitches are, the more tidy it will look. But if they're just casual jeans, don't feel like you have to do it perfectly. Just work your way across. If you get too close to the edge, there's always the risk of that stitch popping. Oops, see, I just did that there. I was not into this fabric here enough, so I'm not going to go back. Just going to fix it next time. So I want to start pulling this closed. Just catch a little bit of that inner fabric. Keep working your way across. See how it's already closing up nicely? Okay, all the way across. If this was a coordinating thread, it would be a lot more invisible, but you can see it's got everything pretty neatly caught inside. I'm going to go into the back side of my fabric here, and I'm going to knot it just like I did in the beginning. Go through my fabric. Whoop. Catch that little loop there. Go through my fabric. Catch that loop. Now if you want to kind of hide your thread or bury it, don't go through the front of the jeans. Just get between that layer of your patch with the scrap fabric and the jeans. You can just kind of weave it in through there. And that is hidden now. Cut that. And then, carefully, leaving 1/4 of an inch or more, whatever you feel comfortable with. Just trim off your excess. Nice strong closure. If you've got more of these little danglies here, just carefully trim those, not cutting into your fresh thread. There we go, and that's one simple way of making your jeans last just a little longer. So a very, very common problem, if your legs touch or if you just do a lot of walking, you may have some worn out areas in the thigh part of your pants. See, I've got this pretty major wearing area here, because even my fabric around here is quite thin. It's still holding together, but it's thin, so I want to reinforce that. Again, I'm going to take my scrap material, any material will do, jeans, any scraps from your sewing, old t-shirt, anything. I'm going to decide how big I want that patch to be. Feel free to overestimate You will be trimming away the excess, and if you're like me, you're using scrap fabric, so you don't mind going a little extra. I'm going to, I don't know if you can see this very well. Here's the hole. Going to match that up as much as possible. Just like that. Next, get your thread. I'd say go with the same rule as last time. Coordinating thread if you have it. If you don't care, use any color you want. About an arm's length, double if you're comfortable with it. Wrap my ends around my finger, roll them off. See how I formed this little knot? Pull that nice and tight. Good. Again, I like to make a little knot in the back here. Whoop. See how thin that fabric is there? Maybe I have to be a little more visible on this area. Get a little bigger chunk of fabric. Two knots. Go through this loop here. Whoop. We'll see what I mean about the double getting tangled sometimes. Okay, problem solved. Alright, next put that patch back where it belongs. And I like to leave my left hand in here, or whatever is your non-dominant hand. Hold that patch as nice and flat as you can. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult because you'll be going in blind, but it's a good exercise, good practice. Come up right above my knot here. And then I'm going to do just that nice straight little whip stitch that we did last week, where I go in, catch my scrap fabric, out, in, out, in, out. I cover a lot of ground this way. Keep going across your hole with your scrap fabric nice and flat underneath. In, out, in, out, in, out. Okay. I'm going to come back this way. The smaller your stitches, the more invisible it will be. I'm just going to be doing parallel lines back and forth. Time to go back the other way. This can be a fun thing to do purposely with contrasting thread. There's a whole movement right now called visible mending, where you make your mending an art form in and of itself. You might not want that in the crotch area or thigh of your pants, but if you're having this problem, then it probably won't be visible anyway, because your legs will be together. So you'll have like a little secret design just for you. Back again. See how I'm kind of catching these threads that are going across here? So I've worked my way back and forth and back and forth and back and forth all across this weak spot in the fabric, my little hole here. Now, if I'm not feeling confident about this, I can start going this direction as well. So you can just kind of start weaving back over your stitches so that you have support from every direction. Just like you were doing the other way. So I've gone this way, and I've gone this way over all my weak sections. You can still see my hole just a little bit right in there. But I feel pretty confident that this is going to hold because I've got all these great little places holding the fabric together. So I'm going to take my thread and go into the inside of the fabric or the inside of your pants. Don't pull it too tight, but also don't worry about it because it will kind of self-adjust when you start wearing it, when you start washing it. Carefully knot your thread just as we did before. Just catch a little bit of fabric, go through the loop, go through the loop, bury that thread in your fabric here. Carefully cut that off. Then go ahead, trim off your excess. Careful not to catch your jeans. Made a little boo-boo here. That's okay. I can trim that. I just caught my fabric in a weird way. There we go. That's how my backside looks here. That's how the front side looks. This will be pretty well hidden in the thigh area of your pants. Now, if you want to go for a little bit more organic shape, you can actually do the same style of stitching I was doing, but work around the hole. That can be kind of a fun little design element if you like. But either way, these pants will hold up to more wearing, and you can feel comfortable knowing that you will not be exposed. So last technique we're going to do, if you have a big old gaping hole and you don't have any coordinating fabric or anything, we're going to do some fun visible mending that's almost like decorating your jeans a little bit. So if I just sold this closed, flat like that, my jeans would be misshapen. I want to keep it open like this. So I'm going to get a little piece of scrap fabric that I like. Anything will do, old clothing scraps, old bed sheets, anything. And I'm going to get myself a little piece of fabric. Whatever you cut here is what's going to be showing on the outside, so make sure you like it. I really love this little vintage print here. Again, overestimate, not underestimate. That's going inside here. Perfect. If you have pins, again, feel free to pin. If you don't, that's okay though. Same threading technique as before. Since this is a totally visible mend, feel free to use any color you like. It'll be fun. Think of it as part of the decoration. Same amount as last time, about an arm's length, and I'm still doing it until it doubled. Around my finger, roll it off, knot. Same process again. I'm going inside of the jeans, right near my hole. Go into the fabric again until there's just a little loop. Get inside that loop and pull it through. Just like that. Put my fabric in place where I want it. Carefully trying to hold it flat. Oops, already failed. That's okay. Holding it flat, I'm going to come up through both layers of fabric, my scrap and my jeans. Again, get that as flat as you can. If you don't have pins, you might just want to use any extra needles you have. Be careful, because you can poke yourself, but this might be easier if you pin. And I'm just working my way around the outside here. Same straight little stitch that we've been using, like you would use to repair a seam if you saw last week's video. You can get funky with this. You don't have to be perfect. This is kind of a kitschy fix, so have fun with it. It's great for kids. Kids really love fun little patches in their jeans. And they also fall down all the time and get tears in their clothes, so they'll like them better and you can keep using those clothes a little longer. You'll notice that I'm keeping a good distance from my edge here because you can see it wants to fray. And for this particular mend that we're doing, it will be cute when it frays. Flatten it out periodically. You'll like it better the flatter you keep it. Don't want your fabric bubbling out. gone all the way around my patch here, and I'm going to go inside like we've been doing. Get your hand in there, make sure you don't go through multiple layers of pants. Don't want to sew your pant legs together. There we go. Flatten that out again. I'm now inside, but instead of knotting off and cutting off our thread just now, I'm going to do one little knot, that's going one little stitch through my scrap fabric, catching that loop and pulling tight. Then before I cut my thread, I'm actually going to trim this to around 1/4 inch. You can leave more if you're nervous. See that there? Now, if you would like to super secure this, what I would do is just do a quick little whip stitch around, around your raw edge here. Make it hold up a little better in the wash, and we'll keep it flatter so that you don't feel the fabric as much against your body. So I've just done a quick messy little stitch around the edge of this. It's really secure now, and I'm going to do knotting off technique that we've been doing this whole lesson. Get in this loop here, pull it, in this loop here, pull it. I can bury my thread right in here. Should not come out. I can cut that now. Easy peasy. Look at that. That's pretty cute. Little rosebuds poking through, some little visible stitches around here, and it just adds a little bit of character to a pair of well-used jeans and makes them last a little longer. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that you're inspired to do a little bit of sprucing up of your wardrobe now that we all have a little bit more time at home. There's no reason to throw something good out, and you might end up really liking your addition to your old pants. You might make yourself a new wardrobe staple just by mending and having a little fun with design. Stay well. I hope everybody is staying sane, healthy, and comfortable during this strange time, and I'll see you next week.